Hey guys, in today's video, we're taking a look at all of my favorite tips and tricks for using the wholesale marketplace platform called Faire. So let's say that you're getting ready to make your first purchase using Faire. Well, you've come to the right place because I have collected all of the tips and tricks in order to help you save money and just have a successful experience using this platform. And I was able to do so by collecting feedback from my network of fellow retail store owners. And to start off with, I will say that most of these people, they expressed their absolute love for the platform. And the first tip and trick, it should be a given, but I knew I had to throw it in there for some of you guys who may kind of forget about this step. But when it comes to being successful on a platform like this, you always have to read the reviews. And if you see a vendor that has bad reviews, obviously skip using that vendor. Now, in addition to that, when you're about to purchase from a vendor for the first time, you want to go onto Amazon and make sure that they're not also selling directly on Amazon, because a lot of the time they're going to sell directly to customers on Amazon for the same price that they're selling it to you on Faire. So you're going to be competing with their low cost on Amazon, which will be hard for you to be able to mark up your products and actually make money off of them. So definitely make sure they're not also selling on Amazon at wholesale cost. Next, let's get an idea about how much it costs or how much vendors charge you for shipping. Well, a lot of store owners chimed in with this question, and they basically shared that it's going to range from anywhere from around $25 to $200, and it all depends on how much the order weighs. But there's a hack, and this is going to be the first hack I'm sharing with you guys. One of my favorite hacks about using Faire is that you can join their program, Insider Club on Faire. It's $20 a month, and with it, you get free shipping from a ton of brands. Now, this is such a helpful hack. Now, in addition to free shipping, my other favorite hack is their net terms conditions. So basically, they have a net 60 program, and you're not going to find this type of program on other platforms like Fashion Go and LA Showroom. And what the net terms program basically offers is that you can order products using net 60, and they will not charge you for those products until the 60-day mark. So you can actually order your products, receive them in the mail, and sell them to your customer, make your money back before you're actually charged from Faire. So it's a great way for you to basically have this line of credit that allows you to not have to be paying out of pocket immediately every single order. So with net terms, I will say that when you first apply for net terms, you're typically going to get it for about $500 to $750, depending on what Faire has agreed to offer you. But over time, as you're paying it off after you've used it, they're going to increase that credit line. So this store owner actually chimed in and said that after 30 days, they increased it to 2,000, and she just looked today and now it's 4,500. So it really gives you that little cushion to help you make your inventory orders without paying for everything out of pocket. Now, this vendor actually said that she has a $7,000 credit on Faire. So again, you're not going to start off that high. You kind of have to work your way up to that. But she did mention that she's noticed that some of the products on Faire are about $3 to $5 more than some of the cost on other platforms. But we'll get into that more later. Now, before we conclude this section on net terms, I do think it's important just to let you guys know some of the dangers that can be associated with using something like this. And a lot of retail store owners chimed in and basically shared this as well. So it's top of mind for a lot of us, but it's the same as taking out a new credit card. You're going to have to pay it off. It's not free money. You're going to have to make sure that you're not signing up for and using net terms, especially if you do get to the point where you're at the $7,000 credit limit. You want to make sure you're not putting yourself in a position where all of a sudden you owe $7,000 and you don't have the money to pay for it. So it can be dangerous, but as long as you're disciplined, then it's worth it, in my opinion. But again, you need to be disciplined and just know if you're successful at using credit cards and if you have a store card and you're able to pay it off, then you're probably fine, but something to think about for sure. Now, let's move on. Enough about net terms. Let's talk about returns. So another great thing that Faire offers is that you can get a free return on your first order with each vendor. So that's amazing because sometimes, we're debating whether to order from a new vendor and we're not sure about the quality because, we're ordering online. We can't actually see the product in person. So this is great because that kind of takes away some of the fear that if it turns out that the product is awful, you can return it for free if it's your first order with that vendor. Now, another person actually chimed in and said that one time she tried to return something and they actually offered her a 70% refund instead of 100%, but they let her keep it. She got to keep all of the products that she ordered, which is cool because that means maybe she can, if she was returning it because it was low quality or just whatever the reason was, she could probably put it on her sale rack or on her sales section of her website and still make some money off of it and not have to worry about the markup because she was charged 70% for it. But another person actually responded and said, you have to be careful about using returns too often because Faire basically looks at every single return like a demerit. So if you're purchasing from Faire all the time, let's say you're making a new order every single week, and you have a return once in a blue moon, you're probably fine. But if you are trying to return things too often, they can actually take away your net 60-day terms. So just be careful and keep that in mind. Now, another person actually shared that she returned some products to a vendor one time and was immediately blocked by that vendor. So apparently vendors have the ability to block you on Faire. Who knew? And my last tip around returns is that by using Faire, if you receive an item that's damaged, you can actually report it directly to Faire and they will help you get your money back as opposed to having to try to work with the vendor directly to convince them or sway them to either let you return it. Some vendors can be, it can be a hassle to work with them to talk about damaged items. So that's also a nice feature that Faire offers. Now let's move on to talk more about cost-saving tips because let's be honest, that's what we're here for, right? So one tip is that if you pay for your order by using your bank account and not a credit card, you can actually get 1% off your total order, which may not seem like a lot, but if you're ordering all of the time, it really adds up, especially when you think about how big some of these wholesale orders, like the price ends up becoming when you're ordering in bulk. So that's a game changer, honestly, a big saver. Now, the next cost tip is that, and actually I will say I'm not able to verify this, but one store owner said that she actually was able to get $100 off her first order. And I don't know if this is still true, and I don't know if there are considerations or whatever terms to what this means. So you'll definitely want to check this out for yourself. It might change over time. So maybe they're offering it now, but maybe they don't in the future. Or maybe I think I saw something like it was like if you're an Amex user, you get $100 off or something like that. I don't know. I saw something like that. I might be making that up though, but you'll definitely just need to check for yourself on that one. Next up, we had some store owners chime in and say that they actually prefer it for accessories. So they order all of their accessories off Faire, but they prefer to find clothing elsewhere because it can be cheaper elsewhere. And then someone else chimed in and said that they have a children's boutique and they love all of the toys that they can find on Faire because it's basically like, it's like, the extras you see when you're standing in line and your kid's like, oh, I want that. So it's like, it's great for different like add-ons to purchases. There's all sorts of accessories, not just toys, all sorts of things for adults as well. Now with that, so you've heard me mention that some store owners actually share that you can find a lot of these products cheaper elsewhere. Well, that's what's going to lead me to bring up this next section, which is Fashion Go versus Faire. So let's hear from some of these store owners directly to hear what their thoughts are on the two. So the first person actually shared that it was really easy for her to set up an account on Faire, and she likes it better than Fashion Go, but she does think that there are more vendors on Fashion Go than Faire. But she thinks that will change. And I will attest to that, and I will say that as time has gone on, I've noticed more and more vendors are selling on Faire, so I think that's just going to continue to be the case. Next, this retail owner chimed in and said that she thinks that Faire is an easier platform to use, but sometimes what she'll actually do is she'll look for the product or she'll find a product on Faire and then she'll go and search for it on Fashion Go to see if it's cheaper. But when you do that, you're going to miss out on the free shipping if you're part of the Insider Club on Faire. So you kind of have to do the math for yourself. Does it even out if you get free shipping on Faire, but it's cheaper on Fashion Go? Probably depends on how much you're ordering. So this person actually shared that she has found products and they'll be like $20 on Faire and then $16.75 on Fashion Go. But again, she's wondering, does it balance out if you can avoid shipping fees? Because shipping can really eat into our cost. So definitely something for you to consider and do some of your own research and math on. Another person said that she also loves Faire. She loves how it's easier to navigate. It's more pleasing. Aesthetically, I think is what she means. But she's going to go check to see if products are cheaper from vendors on Fashion Go. And I actually had someone who elaborated on that further. So basically what they do is they take the SKU number that they get on Faire and then they'll go search for it on Fashion Go or elsewhere. And they've noticed a vendor like Urban Daisy. She's found that Urban Daisy is charging $16 on Faire, but then she's able to find the exact same product from Lovetree for half the price. So that's definitely something you can take the time to kind of look into for yourself. And someone asked, what do you mean by a SKU number? Do you just search for it on Fashion Go? And she says, yes. So she searches the SKU number and the description and sees what pops up. And she actually mentioned another vendor, Lemon Tree, sells Lovetree at a higher price as well. So over time, you'll start to notice things like that and you'll kind of figure out how to navigate and kind of figure those things out for yourself. Now, some people actually will find products on Faire, but then they'll go make an account with the vendor directly to see if they can find it cheaper by ordering from the vendor directly and skipping the middleman, which is Faire. But some people have chimed in. This person in particular chimed in, and she said that she's found no price difference. So that's something that you can look into yourself as well. And other people say that, they love both. So, there's no really reason why you have to use one or the other. If you love both, then by all means use both. And most of the companies on Faire, this person is sharing that most of the products are created by those companies. So you're not going to find them on places like Alibaba. And then lastly, to compare the two, Fashion Go does have a nice feature where you can actually see if the vendor is actually the manufacturer or just a vendor, because basically some vendors will go to a manufacturer, order products, and then they'll sell on Fashion Go or Faire, and then you order from the vendor. Whereas you could alternatively skip the vendor and go directly to the manufacturer, and you can save some money that way because the vendor is going to upcharge you from what they purchased it from the manufacturer. So Fashion Go has the ability for you to see whether they are the manufacturer or the vendor, whereas I don't think that's available on Faire, but maybe over time it will be added. Now, I did want to just quickly add, kind of shifting gears, this is from the vendor perspective. So if you're selling wholesale products on Faire, some vendors actually shared that they hate using Faire. They've had a bad experience. Some people think that Faire doesn't treat the vendors as well as they should. But on the flip side of that, I did have someone who was a vendor share that she has actually been able to grow her business exponentially by using Faire. So I don't really, I'm not a wholesale vendor selling on Faire, so I don't really have that insight or that perspective. So I don't have anything else to comment, but I did find that interesting, so I thought I would add it. And then in terms of setting up, so if you want to create an account on Faire, you do need to make sure that you have all of the appropriate legal requirements, all of your paperwork. So you do need things like your LLC, your EIN number, stuff like that, your seller's permit or resale license is called different things in different states, but you'll need to have all of that information. I actually created a video that talks all about how to go about setting up all of those legal requirements. So if you're brand new, just getting started and want to make sure you're doing things correctly from a legal perspective, you can check out that video. I will link it in the description bar. And then if you are having trouble making an account on Faire, a couple of things. One, you can always email them and just explain your situation, and they should be able to help you get that sorted out. Two, make sure that you're applying to be a retail store who's purchasing from vendors and that you're not actually accidentally applying to be a vendor, because that's when it can get a little bit more complicated. And then third, you do have to have either a brick and mortar location or a website address. You can't just sell on your Facebook group or on Instagram or wherever else out of your back garage. You have to have either a website or a physical brick and mortar location. So something to keep in mind. And then lastly, this is just kind of like an FYI, but basically in July 2023, Faire changed their pricing structure. So what that means for consumers or customers on Faire is that most brands, most vendors now have minimums that you have to meet in order to purchase from them. And that didn't used to be the case. So it can be frustrating if you only want to order one or two things and you're not meeting that minimum. But you can always reach out to the vendor directly and see if you can order from their website directly and avoid having to meet the minimum. That's something for you to kind of figure out. But with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you are looking for a list of verified quality wholesale vendors, you can check out my list that I provide to you guys for free to download at letsbuildaboutique.com. And it also is a great tracker for keeping track of which vendors you love and which vendors you hate. There's a place for you to enter in all of that information and just keep track of everything in one place. And it also has all sorts of industries and by industries, I mean styles, different styles like Western wear, children and baby, graphic tee, blue jeans. It's got all sorts of different products on there. And if you are just getting started, I actually recommend that you check out my Open a Clothing Store e-course. You can also find that at letsbuildaboutique.com. I will link to it in the description bar down below. But basically, if you are getting ready to open your online store, you want to make sure you do it legally and make sure you have everything in order and are able to successfully plan your launch and make sure you're able to open and optimize your store. So my course provides you all of the helpful information you need to be successful from day one. So definitely check that out if you're just getting started. And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe because I share so many great helpful tips all about wholesale vendors and Shopify and pop-ups, local pop-ups, and all sorts of marketing tips and tricks. So you don't want to miss out. Make sure you subscribe. And with that, I will see you guys next time.